Well, well, well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the magnificent avatars in their not very good flying machines. it's, I've got confused already. So much for ad-libbing the jokes. Right, my name is Mal Burns, and this is the Inworld Review. The Inworld Review is a show where we look at places on the hypergrid, destinations, arts, and moreover, the people. And if you don't know what the hypergrid is, it's a system that connects hundreds, if not thousands, of different grids scattered all around the world together, a bit like web pages are all connected together by your web browser. And the only criteria is that they are authored using open source, open simulator software. If you ever remember or have heard of Second Life, then it's a similar thing, but far more advanced as a network. Anyway, we bring you the best of that, and we've got quite a lot of news for you today, so I'm getting really confused knowing where to go first. Firstly, I am joined, of course, on my right-hand side by the right-hand man, James Atlloud, he of the knobs and the sits. Welcome, James.
Well, thank you, Mal, and what a lovely new venue we have here. I can't wait till you start
Indeed.
talking about that. But I did wear a shirt in honor of our location.
I noticed that. I
Yeah.
noticed that actually. It's a good job you didn't paint them with whatever's on your shoes because you wouldn't look at the. Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah.
On my other side, of course, is my wonderful co-host Tosha Tyran. Welcome, Tosha.
Well, thank you, Mel. And really, the studio is looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is. We've done a good job.
And and I'm sure we'll share the address later, no? So
Yes,
that people
yes.
that
We
want to
will,
take a look or will come to visit, that they have it at hand.
yeah, we'll figure out a landing point and also put it on OpenSim World.
Okay.
So it means there's a whole region for InWorld Review to put on OpenSim World, I guess. To explain, because we started talking about it already, we weren't here last week because all hell had broken loose, to put it politely. The day after our show a fortnight ago, we heard the news that OS Grid, which of course is where our studio was, is wiping out all 18 years of their assets and starting from scratch. So it's not like the grid's going to go anywhere, but all the assets are going to be there. All that will remain is your avatar identity and essential things, but your inventory is wiped out. You have to start all over again. Mixed feelings about it. Our friend Tosha Ember actually concluded that actually at the end of the day it's probably quite a good idea because we end up getting so frustrated on that grid anyway. But of course, it meant that this show was in a bit of peril, especially as nothing was working properly. So we have a backup studio on Avacon, which of course I believe is an American server. But we thought also we better be on a European server. I'm not going to go into real world politics at the moment, but it's a wise move when we don't know what's happening with the global networks these days. We've joined our old friends at CraftGrid. Craft World, to give it its formal title, which is one of the oldest open sim grids around, actually, and devoted. It's always been a very creative grid. Some people mistakenly refer to it as an Italian grid because it is frequented by a lot of Italians, but it's a global sort of grid like any other, really. So we're here, and we spent the last almost fortnight sort of getting it all sorted out here and messing around in the massive amount of space we got outside the studio. But as Tosha says, I think we've done a pretty good job so far in getting this together. Sorry, I can't remember which machine I'm on here. Right, okay. I don't need to pan out to look. Okay, well, there's a few other things, changes you'll notice as we go by, but the studio's sort of a lot more comfortable and a few little tricks built into it now for the future. Right. So I'm just looking at my normal pictures. Here we are, Safari Roundup. There's the picture. Now, I should point that we weren't here last week, of course, because we had thought about discussing the OpenSim grid problems, but we didn't for various other reasons, not least of which is James here was away.
I was away. I was
Yeah,
traveling.
so
I was
you had a nice
partying.
break, I hope.
That was
Yes.
fantastic. Oh yeah, I had a great time. I was back out to Philadelphia, fun place to
Right.
visit, and I
Yeah.
had a great time getting away from everything. You know, we need that once
Yeah.
in a while. You know.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, everybody does.
The only problem is when you come back and you've got sort of a week's work to catch up on.
Yeah, that's true, and that was the case for me.
Yeah, I don't
Email, I
imagine.
get so much email, it's unbelievable.
Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, at least you can get a week away from it or more.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah. So of course when James arrived back, he was hit by all this toing and throwing because he went away the day it all broke. Right. Anyway, so what we decided to do is just do a catch up because there've been 4 safari visits in the course of the last 2 weeks. And a few other things there. So we're just going to run some film and look at those posts of the safaris. I'm going to do it in order of by weeks, really. I'm going to start off with Thursday's blog here. Wednesday, February the 12th was this blog. And this basically is all about the great OS Grid asset reset, which, of course, was what was happening. She has a link there that takes you to this site, asset reset. And that's the people at OS Grid sort of giving you basically all the information you need to help you make backup ores and inventory and stuff like that. Right. Feeling a bit dodgy here. Right. Okay. And the blog itself, I don't know whether it's much of a picture show, this one, but there you are, the logo and about bit of typical OS Grid type stuff going on there. Kill that interface, won't you? No, this was actually that's an old picture. Justin CC's Bon Voyage party, and yeah, well, another industrious looking person. There's a lot of OS Grid was always considered to be the developers' grid because it was one of the originals, and they followed their own rules. They don't even use the suitcase that is written for every other grid, you know, and things like that. But it's always been this sort of science fiction-y sort of punky sort of feel to it. I suppose typified by that picture. Anyway, to find out more here, you need to go to osgrid, or one word, osgrid.online, and then /news, and then /asset-reset. And you can read that article I've got on screen there. I'm not going to read it out to you. I've got a robot that can do it, but we'll be here all day while it plods its way through. Right. So moving onwards and upwards, so to speak, to the actual safaris themselves. And Thursday, February 13th, this was not last Thursday, it was Wednesday, sorry, it was the Wednesday before that. The blog post is dated Thursday. And the first stop was to Westeros. Now, of course, James wasn't around for this, so it's all new on him. Westeros, of course, is Game of Thrones. And this is a build on Wolf Territories called Westeros Medieval Roleplay. And oh yeah, that's the thing at Inworld for you. Oh, they've even got their own pictures there. So one avatar there right now. That's impressive, isn't it? Okay, not much to say there, but there is a link at Inworld for you. Let's close that one for now. So all the excitement of the thing, so to speak. These are the pictures that are posted from the venue itself. So, hang on, mouse work. There we are. Right, colourful. I must say, obviously, Game of Thrones type costuming was in order. Except for Thursday, who's got the normal safari gear on, actually. But you can see castles and semi-medieval. Game of Thrones is a real mix-up of sort of medieval and whatever, but it was, you know, it was totally fictional and wasn't even based on any kind of histories or anything. There we are. So they've had the bit of leeway there. First thing I asked is, "Where's the blonde on the dragon?" And nobody seemed to be able to find her for me. Well, I mean, if I'm going to go to Game of Thrones, I don't want to sit on some sharp swords. I want to see the blonde on the dragon. I do.
You're talking Daenerys Targaryen. I think that's what you're
Yes.
talking about.
Well, blonde on dragon is a lot simpler.
Is that enough? Okay.
I love this is taking the knee.
Oh yeah.
She must have thought that was Donald Trump. Sorry.
Oh, yep.
No, that's it.
Don't be sorry.
No. That's not a funny joke, though. I mean, it says I'm sure never making jokes about. My favorite phrase at the moment is beware the rump of Trump. You can even hunt the rump of Trump, but that's something else entirely. Right, that's his nobody, I think. I think it is. I think it's
It is.
Wears braces there. Yeah,
his signature suspenders.
Yeah,
Yes,
there is a grey. What we call the braces. We do.
Right.
There's a grey naked lady in there too. Gosh golly, she's probably glad she's grey. Right. Oh, and this is the snowfall bit. And that little wall there with the arch on it is actually a teleport that takes them to different eras of. Obviously, there's the big Great Wall sort of thing that you see here. More snow there. Lots of snow here, I think. Those are obviously had a fine time making gifts of snow. Right, and then, of course, this was somewhere else. This, I guess, is the tropical region at the south of Westeros. Or no, this is probably on the mainland where the Lady on the Dragon sort of came from in the big... Well, I've forgotten how it all goes. Yeah. Some of this is completely fictional, of course. Fictional beyond the fiction, if you see what I mean. But very pleasant, very moody, and everything else. There was nobody again on a horse this time. Hopefully not a horse with a twin that refuses to go away. But that's another story we'll tell one day. And finally, that's a nice shot to end with. So moving across here to our films. And this will be it. I think it must be. Does that look like Westeros? I think it does. Must do. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Just sure. I've just got a code number and the time on this. It was the first one of the 4 sets, so I guess it had to be. It looks. No, I think.
I wasn't.
No,
there,
this is This isn't Westeros.
Okay.
Sorry. This is something else. Another stop on. This is Westeros, right? You recognise this from the TV series.
Right.
It's the big sort of icy wall or something. So this was the sort of second stop where we went through the thing with the snow. It's a very small outpost, actually. I've got to feel in the film it looks a wee bit bigger, but they've obviously modelled it on the balcony. This is where one of the characters gets himself dead, and then if he gets alive again. It all happens in this winter place. Winterfell, that was it. That's the name of it. See, I do tell you to pay attention to these things. You were on this one, Tosha, though, weren't you?
I'm not so sure, because I am lately I cannot be sure where I am or not, where I am not in on Safari because I keep crashing and crashing.
Yeah.
And I still really haven't found out what the problem might be.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I had I'm on a couple of these visits. I'd be fine on the first stop, and then teleport to the next stop, and nothing would raise, and it would be slow, and there was no,
Exactly.
machine-wise, performance had been fine. It's just swapping to the next region, and
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens to me.
Yeah. And
I tell you, it's very frustrating.
It is. Well, hopefully things will get better. I don't know. Well, of course, of course, your avatar is here on Craft. It has been for a long while. So I hope things will be okay. Yeah, this craft
Absolutely
avatar will
right.
now be my main avatar, so I'm going to have to start collecting inventory all over again, and hopefully I'll be on Safari using this avatar too. So
Well, the other thing that is, well, I wouldn't say just as much as good about it, but it pushes me more to go on my own than to the region where the safari went on, you
yeah,
know, because I couldn't see it during the safari. Of course, it's without the fun of having all the people around, but it gives me more time to look at all the things, and it pushes me more to go there. Other times I might get lazy and say, well, seen it all in safari, so what the heck.
so
But
I won't bother coming back. Now it's very, very true. I mean, even when usually I arrive as soon as I can and start filming an overview of it, like the ones we
mm,
see here, and
mm,
then I come back down to earth and follow Safari kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, you can't do everything at once. So,
that's true.
and Safari is very much a social event, so you don't want to sort of just
Yeah,
arrive and leave it.
yeah.
Okay, well, that was on the 12th. I filmed that on the 12th of. So the other film that I was about to start is also the 12th. I'm not entirely sure whether this is Rest of Us or the other one. Um, Never were no. Actually, I'm trying to look at the Counter Earth. No. Um, okay. Not at all sure. Art Destiny Grid and Neverworld. That must have been. Um, oh yeah, that was the week before. Oh god, that's not scrolling.
Well,
Terrible.
that's the thing of doing too many things at once,
Yeah.
making the film, showing it, and you were practically mainly it's in the new studio, so it's a lot of things to consider at once.
What on earth has happened to my drink? Never mind. Uh, Crossroads in. Yeah, this is I am slightly taken aback here.
Oh, I like this wine. The barrel of wine. It said what was inside. It said all sorts. Like you just pouring it all into the same barrel. It must be a wonderful wine and leave you with a headache the next day.
Okay, this is yeah, I actually thought we started in Westeros, but it may be that we went to someone else first. And for some reason, my notepad here, because it's actually 2 weeks ago, doesn't actually have the right notes on it. But I've got the right notes for this week. Yeah, we did the Epic Mountain Roadway. That was, yeah, James was still here at that point. Yeah, okay, my notes have vanished for this one. But anyway, it was this is yeah, I'm trying to work this out. I'm sorry, folks. I've been totally off guard today and of late. It feels like it ought to be Westeros, but I'm not. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it must be. There was certainly more to it than the icy wall. We went to several different places. Let's get a straw.
Well, let's say it this way, even without a name to it, it's really is an awfully beautiful place. It's just,
It is, yeah. And if it is Westeros, oh, sure, yes, it's still part of Westeros. There we are. They've got it actually says so.
yay, yay.
Yeah. So this was my first bit of film, and the last bit. I think I thought I'd got everything, and then I'd missed the extension to the big wall. So that was the second piece of film. Um, Actually, the ice wall is much more typical of what I think of as the TV series, but there were so many different locations in the story. So And of course, the continent or the land of Westeros is obviously influenced by Britain, although obviously the north of Britain isn't quite that cold and the south of Britain isn't quite that hot. So, yeah, but it's very nice, and in fact, and of course, we're coming up to this week's stop. We went to one of your regions, of course, Tosha, Timbuktu, which we'll get to in a few minutes, I guess. And there are similarities here, you know. I didn't see any camels immediately, but it's got that funny how architecture gets. The further south you get and the warmer you get, it seems architecture's change from the wintry ones, but they have a lot, even though they're not the same region, they have a lot in common, you know, in real life too, you know. You see the similarities, don't you, in sort of Italian architecture and Greek architecture, because they're all in the same latitude or whatever. Oh, fierce wind outside here. Okay. Well, we can look at it, but we need to. I'm going to fast forward a bit because otherwise we're actually going to be stuck with trying to find 6 or 7 minutes to talk about it. And what can you say? Move forward a bit. Now the in fact, I realised why I'm confused. The we had this stop, Westeros, it was the first one on Safari, and we followed that up with a demonstration video of the HIE Expo. It was like a bit of a load test. So we just sort of ended up there and walked, had a little walk around all the booths and everything else, a bit like we did on camera here a couple of weeks ago. But Safari actually got its own sort of preview. And I didn't film that because I actually had so much film already. It's just like duplicating films from previous weeks. This was well worth it. It'd be nice to actually get the people behind this on the show at some point, the Westeros build. Make sure I got the film in the archive and they can talk us through a bit more themselves.
Yeah, that's really great when guests can participate. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, here I was trying to talk our way through it. Oh, I was there and we did this and we did that, and you can see it. And of course, you were away, James, and this may have been one that Tosha didn't actually, she crashed on or something. So, a bit of a shame there. Yeah, keep the whole conversation going. Okay, well, I'm going to go for get through this a bit more because. It's actually a very big area, as you can probably tell. So it took 11 minutes of just flying through the air, and you had to have a dragon, didn't we? But no blonde.
Oh, yes.
And the blonde is not on the dragon. Imagine the dragon looks a bit small to hold the blonde, actually. I think it's a baby dragon. It's actually astonishing when I look back on safaris and things, how many we've actually been to that have actually been kind of fan builds, I suppose, of television shows, movies, and what have you. We've actually seen an awful lot of, we've visited an awful lot of places like that. Westeros.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of virtual worlds in general, is to live out the fantasy.
Yeah.
What a better way to do it?
That's true.
Tell your own story in the setting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about immersion, isn't it, really? So instead of playing a game, you make your own game and live in it. Yeah. But it's, yeah, very much so. This one, of course, is interesting because if you know the show, it's not a medieval castle, or it's not an outpost on a wall made of ice, and it's not all tropical, and it's not all out at sea on sailing boats, and it's not all dragons. There's the whole novels that make up Game of Thrones are just so multi-layered and so much in it. Recreating the environment is, well, there's so many different environments that you've got to mix up to even create a hint of the scope of the novel. But it's pretty good going. Anyway, I've fast forwarded more or less to the end of this now.
And I think I've heard people speculate that the world is a trinary star system, and so that's what causes the long winter that comes very infrequently.
That would make sense, or some kind of, oh look, there's the ball in the distance. It's quite close by, really. That would certainly make sense. It would need to be, really.
Right.
Of course, it's still normal humans and stuff that live in it. You can't have everything. You'd think it'd be a different kind of alien life if that was the case. But yeah, he's completing.
I don't think that was in the books. I think that was just fan speculation. That's what caused it.
Right, yeah, I mean, it may just have been left out of the books or you're meant to realise that thing that looks a bit like Britain is actually a lot longer. It goes from near Arctic to Mediterranean, and even the mainland off to the east. Is
Right.
pretty much like Britain and Europe
Right.
and Asia.
But whereas
Or
Tolkien is clearly meant to be a fictional history of Earth,
yeah,
but I don't think Westeros is in the same way.
no, it's a very particular thing. But it reminds me of the Asimov books, Heliconia Winter and Heliconia Summer and Heliconia Spring. There isn't an autumn one, but the trilogy, they, every couple of centuries, it goes from a dead planet, like midwinter, and no life survives. And then they got a civilization has to rise again over a couple of centuries and then die off, and there's an orbiting human satellite watching it all going on, and they start getting their own. Well worth a read, that series. Okay, so I'm going to move forward to those those films were taken on the 12th of February. So we're now up to basically what was this week. As I say, the other stop. Oops, let's stop the film for a second. The next stop there was Exposure. This really has a way with
Clever. Right?
these, and basically we took Safari along to look at the build, or particularly the booths that we have up for the thing. This is actually the landing area, and you've got to follow that path into where it joins the main paths and takes you through to the auditorium and stuff. A lot of signage at the beginning here, of course. And as you move in, the whole, the Grand Park, so to speak, is just scattered with. At this point, a week or more ago, it was, there's already about 120 booths, and technically the deadline's passed. But I bet my life that says it's still getting more. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I saw it was extended out to the 15th of February, and that's passed. But
yeah.
yeah.
There's also took one of herself animated with a microphone on one of the stands. So, oh God, no, I don't want to install on quit. Thank you. It was unfortunate. Right. Yeah. So there she is dancing, and the advert for Mr. Wobbit, who's he's definitely playing, but he's got a stall there behind. You get the idea. They look lovely and colourful, don't they? If you've been to HA before, it's very similar, sort of lots of trees and art and booths around the thing. But the auditorium is now in the centre of the region, and it's a big bar region. So the park itself goes all the way around, including behind where the stage is. Aerial shot, a good idea of what's going on there. Our sparkly, twinkly trees have gone. Slightly more subdued trees now, but quite nice and green. if I recall, there are actually rather a lot of
No,
people.
that looks like a Dalek. A
A Dalek,
Dalek. A
a
Dalek from
Dalek.
Doctor Who.
It probably is. Oh yes, yes, it is. It's Doctor Who stamp. Yes, it's a Dalek, not a Dalek.
Day of the
Prefer
Daleks. Dawn of the
Nah,
Daleks.
yeah,
Okay.
I prefer night legs. Who gives a darn about day legs? I'll have
Right.
night legs, please. That's a nice video. Is that Lauren Tone? I bet you it is. The music, the keyboard and everything built like a musical instrument. Looking like me walking around looking rather busy there. I don't know what I'm looking at. And Europa. It actually, these aerial shots she's taken actually convey it quite well. You really get the size of it. You can see that. And there are a few areas where you almost get lost in the paths. You instead of just being a straight circle, it sort of twists and winds a bit, and it encourages you come back to the same thing, or you take another direction. It's like a not a maze, but never quite sure which way you're facing because there's so much there. That's actually the back of the auditorium, which of course is just no entry to the public, so to speak. And that's the auditorium itself, very much in the same style as it always has been. And all this, of course, was here on our new grid, craft grid, up until last year. It's now got a grid of its own, especially created grid for HIE and Safari, in fact. So there we go. That was the next shot. Now, let's see. In the interim, this was about the time of last week's show, in fact. So I hopped over with some people, I don't know who, I guess they were invited to a special preview of the Open Sim Worlds Fair. About a dozen of them showed up to sort of test it. There's about 24 normal size sims, which is is that 8x8 or something? It's absurd, really. And well, it's okay having a dozen or so people to try it out, but that is a very vast area. You can't even get a camera to watch it all. And we'll see. We'll see. I think it's on Wolf Territories it's being hosted, so if anybody can cope with it, they can. But that seems very ambitious size-wise, to be honest. But we'll see. So actually, she's only posted a few pictures of this Moulin Rouge, of course. Don't know what that is, but it's an aerial shot. So there you go. It's hard to see what it is. Obviously, they're showing off a lot of architecture here. It reminds me of a bit of a chaotic version of the Second Life birthday builds, which I suppose is a model for it. There they are, some of them hanging around. Now, of course, this is happening at the beginning of March, barely a week away now. And I think the fairgrounds will be open for preview visits and stuff before too long. Now, okay, so we come to this week and going stag. Right, this was actually the second stop. Well, let me get this in order. I've got the tabs open. The first stop in this week's safari was one of Tosha's very own areas called Timbuktu, she calls it Tosha's Timbuktu. Gosh golly. Timbuktu is a 1,000-year-old frontier town, the southern gateway to the Sahara. And at least you can talk about this while we go through the pictures and the film that's coming up, Tosha. So let's just run through the pictures that Thursday's got first, and you can sort of tell us where we are, if you wish to.
Well, yeah, this is a view from the River Niger to the town of Timbuktu. And you see there one part of the big buildings are part of the great universities, this one too, of Timbuktu. Timbuktu had in the 14th century a just gigantic library university, a library with up to 700,000 books and manuscripts. It was really something. And that was because the then emperor of Mali, where Timbuktu is a part of, he was very open-minded and very open to different cultures and to, art and science. He must have been quite a guy. Well, this is a look on the marketplace.
Oops.
It's a very typical um, North African marketplace, actually. And you see part of the on the left part of the university
Love these animated characters you got in there. This is, I think it's hard to know. Some people came from Savari and some are actually
yeah.
NPCs, aren't they? So you get confused, especially NPCs, because they are literally complete avatars that are
Yeah.
created.
Yeah,
And
I think I have about 20 plus um NPCs on that region walking around, and I have a special NPC controller that can make them walk around on paths that I tell them to go, so to speak.
yeah,
To
yeah, no, it's absolutely great. I love this stuff you're doing there. And as you said, it doesn't matter what the region is, you got to have a stage for the band.
Yeah, no, well, that is on purpose, because traditionally, for very, very many years, they had in Timbuktu a festival of the desert every year, with groups from all over Africa, and the latest years also all over Europe. What happens when the ISIS came and took over Timbuktu and destroyed very much of it? They they forbidden, no, the festival was forbidden, but when the ISIS was driven out of Timbuktu, one of the first things the people of Timbuktu organized again was a festival.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, it's such a shame. And that was sort of, well, not just ISIS, some of the radical
Yeah,
Islam, sort of, they ban images. They don't believe that
yeah, 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 yeah,
it
yeah.
is
They
music.
destroyed so much culture, so
Yeah,
much science, and to think that these books are from literally hundreds of years, even before the 14th century, hundreds of years of wisdom in there, of
yeah,
medicine, of mathematics, of astrology, of all kinds of things. Astrology, of astronomy. I always get those two words mixed up. Well, anyways, stars.
it's funny. We're living in awkward times right now and stuff. But I mean, I think some of the historical instances that have been most profound have been the kind of God, please go away. Something wants
Yeah,
to update itself. Um, the book burning things, burning books and burning art and
yeah,
basically destroying
yeah,
everything that is good in life, really. But I
yeah.
mean, centuries later,
Not only
there was
good, but
there's a lot.
necessary. Wisdom, like for example about healing people. They had much more wisdom than much later, centuries later, the people had on Earth, and that was really helpful. Helpful if you were ill, if you had some problems, you could go to these books and you'd find
Yeah,
some something that healed you, that helped you, and all destroyed because some stupid people wanted to you know
strange
be
religions and
destroyed.
yeah,
Yeah,
power,
yeah,
power, yeah, gain power by just destroying everybody. It keeps everybody happy.
yeah.
Tasha, did
Yeah,
you say
yeah.
Timbuktu was part of an empire at
um
its height, or what?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, was that was Mali, and Mali was very much bigger than it is known now.
Ah, okay, okay.
And the emperor, the most important one there was Manu Masu. I think he was named. It doesn't matter. You will forget it anyways. and he was really very important. He was very rich. He traveled all around the world. He brought books and wisdom and knowledge and things back to him. He was open to all kinds of people, to all kinds of religions. That was, the university, for example, was Islamic, but it was not confined to the Islamic wisdom. They had it from everywhere, and they could put up as many as 25,000 students there at a time.
Wow.
That was really huge,
Very big.
and
Yeah.
it was considered the hugest university and the hugest library at its times worldwide. So just think about the concentration of wisdom there, and of knowledge, and of learning and
Yeah.
possibility. It was really great.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, we just lost so much. Oh, yes, and of course, Close Up, the band are all ethnically appropriate, I guess. The Festival of the Desert.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
that was the
I
first
think,
one
yeah.
that was possible again. Uh,
Oh, so it's as recent as 2020 they kicked out.
yes, 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 yes,
Oh, right, okay. I thought I knew it happened. I didn't realize it's that recent, just 5 years ago.
yes.
Yeah.
And I especially like these avatars dressed
Yeah.
as,
Just,
Tuareg, and then playing the guitar or dancing. So it looks to me really cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if that is in reality like that, or it was like that ever, but I just like the idea.
Well, it's funny, you a lot of all over the place. 50 years ago, country music was all acoustic. Well, a few mics around and amps, but and Latin American music and stuff. The slowly but surely things like the upright bass. Well, it's coming. Upright bass is wonderful. It's coming back now, but it was gradually replaced by bass guitar or electric basses and things. And
Mm.
they were still playing the same music, but it just became updated with newer instruments and things like that. So I can quite see, you
Yeah,
know, uh,
but what I know about or what I've read, of course, I would never was personally in Timbuktu. What I know about this festival is that they attract each year more people from, international. At first, it
yeah,
was really a regional festival where people, Timbuktu and around, would come and play music, and more or less the classic music. And then it came more and more, and now it is rock and jazz and blues, and there come people from the United States, there come European, from all over Africa, Latin American groups. It's really it's got to be very fascinating, really.
it's like Morocco is another sort of. There's there was a big thing, it must be 20 years ago, the rise of, it's very voguish, what they call world music. And you've
Mm,
got festivals like WOMAD and stuff like that, which were world music festivals, all sorts of music melded together. But now it's almost become a norm, but almost anywhere in the world you go, there's some kind of world festival, which is both local
mm,
and inclusive of different styles from the place. And I love that. I love that. I used to love
yeah, I do too.
world global music
Yeah,
programs,
I
where
do too.
everything's all jumbled together.
Well, what I find so fascinating about Timbuktu is, or this build especially, is when we started out. Well, I did that with Siberia Ilfredo Purifica, an Italian avatar who's not on OpenSim anymore. And he had a sim at that time that was named after the coldest city in the world, is supposed to be Oymyakon, which is in Siberia somewhere. And then I had this huge sim, and I said, well, what am I going to do here? And we were thinking back and forth, and I said, well, let's name it by the hottest place on earth. And really, I found out that the hottest city in the world is Timbuktu. And
Oh,
Yeah, and it struck me really strange because Timbuktu for me was like out in nowhere, you know. Somebody
Right.
would say,
Right.
"I'll kick you," and you fly to Timbuktu, or where does he live? Timbuktu, that was nobody knows,
Yeah, I
and
always
it
thought
was
of
for me.
Timbuktu as being more like Middle Eastern, but West
I
Africa, very interesting.
I had no idea at all,
Yeah.
and it was just a place in nowhere, And then when I started looking for it and reading about it, I got so fascinated, and it became more and more like a little piece of my home, It's
Mm-hmm.
not really, but in virtual world, it is like my second home. I just really got to love it, and I try to play with that and try to represent a lot of this feeling in the buildings.
And the NPCs,
Back to the market.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very densely activity there. I think you definitely get you. You've obviously strived, as you said, to capture the immersion of it, so you feel like
Mm.
you're in that place and succeeded.
And it really is a shame because we were at the end of the safari, we were a little bit at the, what you call disco before. There were this
Yeah.
festival, is the stage. And really, I have some dance machine there filled up with
Ah,
dancers, men and women that are in the original, in the Tuareg dressing, the long clothes what they wear, and it's so funny to dance with. You get to dance with a Tuareg man or with a Tuareg woman, but unfortunately that didn't work that very night. And I had tried it out the afternoon and it was fine, but they were on strike.
lovely costumes too. I mean, the long dresses and the designs of the fabrics. Well, most of them anyway. A couple of them are a bit plain, but
Yeah.
is there a reason for those very long? Is it a result of the heat? Is to actually
Yes, yes.
help
Well,
shade their
that
body from exposure to the
that
heat?
is the traditional dressing. Oh, I have a strange animal in here. Um, that is really the traditional dressing of the Tuareg people. And they wore these long, loose clothes because of the extreme heat in the desert, because they're nomads and they go crossing the Sahara, which you might know. It's one of the hottest regions in the world, and it's purely desert, and you have to really know how to survive. And they're specialized on that. And we were before with a safari. We were in one of the camp where they had their tents and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they lived in tents, and what I like very much about the Tuareg is that they are matrilineally
Oh,
organized. That
wow.
is to say that every all the positions, the tents and all the possessions inside belong to the women, and the men go with the cattle. They go there. They breed camels. They breed cattle, and the women stay at home with the children, and they decide what they want to do. They can receive visitors, also male visitors, while the men are outside.
Like
And
it's a matriarchal society, basically.
yes,
Yeah.
and they well, not so much because they don't decide over the way of life of the man. They just decide over their own. But before they get married, they can have boyfriends. They can have sex with their boyfriends. Nobody asks them about it. They choose their own partner.
Yeah.
They are not being sold by anybody or given away. They do that themselves. They can decide when and with whom they get married,
Yeah.
and they can divorce. The
Is
men
that
can
why
too, but the women also. And then they can have new relationships also after the divorce or after the death
I
of the
guess
man.
they don't have that insipid possessive thing.
Yeah, not at all.
So,
And
so yeah.
the children of they stay with the woman, and the woman is responsible for handing down the tradition, handing down the goods. She is the one that keeps all the goods, all the food, all the tents, and all the possessions. And when the man, no, let's say, the children don't inherit from their fathers, but from the brothers of their mothers. And with the brothers of the mother, they have a very intense relationship, and later on they, inherit of them. So that is really, it's really unusual. And
Yeah.
uh, um, um, a Tuareg man should never touch violently at his wife. The rest of the clan would probably, you know.
It's funny. I was reading a bit aside from this a week or so ago, new research into, I guess, early medieval societies in Europe and in Britain after the Roman era, but before. I don't know what we think of the Reformation sort of ages. Apparently, a lot of our medieval societies were matriarchal, not patriarchal. Um, they're doing, I don't know, DNA tests and fossils and everything else. So I got a whole new view of history. It was just assumed, to be patriarchal, and actually wasn't right at home.
Mm.
Anyway, that is great. I'm just going to reiterate: City of Great Culture, Learning and History. We experienced this carefully researched version of the World Heritage Site, which it is, with you, Tosha, of course.
Yeah.
Destination 2 was interesting. It was Stag Hollow. And we had Lavia Levine on this show not so long ago. And I'm going to actually have to ask James. There's a slideshow machine to the right-hand side of our other screen.
Okay, give
And
me a second here. Okay.
yeah, I'm just doing it quickly. These are slides that we had on that she talked us through when she was on the show. So I thought we'd just have
Okay.
a
I have
quick
it.
revisit. Yeah. So yeah, these are just pictures. There's sort of two pictures in one here, but she showed us through this sort of the way it was being built and stuff. It's well, you'll see in a minute from the film that I just thought it was worthy showing off these since we already have them. And yeah, that's the caravan site, gypsies. Again, a whole variety of different environments, as it were. There's buffalo, aren't they? There's in the west. And there we are. That was that little exploration. So moving back to our main screen, after Tosha, we're now on some film which is showing us part of Stag Hollow, where we went with Labia. This was after Timbuktu. Must have been.
Oh,
You were.
this is still Timbuktu. These are the swamps of the Niger River.
Oh, sorry. This is still Timbuktu. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm getting totally confused. Yeah, I should have seen the tag here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, I'm getting confused. Right. Yes. This when I first filmed here, I thought it was all in the desert, and I saw the oasis and things at the side, but I completely missed this bit, which was totally opposite of the desert. I guess I wasn't looking for it. Ooh, snakes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, that clearly is not Timbuktu. Slide on the side, anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, but this still is, yes.
I think I was influenced by the costume, the sort of top hat, westerny costume that woman's wearing made me think it was a Western location, and completely got the film completely mixed up. Yeah, this was more or less where the end here where we left the desert and see the desert behind us there.
It's the delta of the river, which is a big swamp in real life too.
And that's very close to the desert in real life, is it? Or you've just put them, they're just adjacent
No,
to it?
no,
Yeah.
it is like that.
Yeah.
As the river emerges from the desert into the sea, that there is, of course, bigger than this.
Yeah.
There's a huge swamp area,
Yeah.
and the river also is a little bigger than the one that you can see in here.
Of course, yeah. You can't build these things real size. Can you imagine? I know somebody did it with the Grand Canyon, but it took about a couple of days to even walk the virtual build.
Oh, and this is Tosha trying to find her way
Trying
through
to
her
find a
own
way of
build.
wait, I know that's it's quite funny.
Was
It's,
it you?
I'm following,
No, it was
my
not.
camera, my camera's just kind of following you, and you stop and you look around, and no, not there. Carry on.
Um,
Somewhere around here, definitely.
I put some breadcrumbs here before I went there, but I didn't never found them again
Well, the camels probably took a
to
liking to
get
it.
the way out of this maze. And the small buildings and all the small ways and roads between them, they really are a maze, you know?
But there's a lots of similarity too. I mean, I when I was coming around, I went through some of them were locked, but there are other front doors that were
Mm.
open or could be opened, and I'd pop in and think, have I been here before? Because you know,
Here
on
you are.
the outside it was the same, but inside it was different and stuff. Yeah,
Uh,
can be very confusing.
what I like very much about this city too, the last remark, if you allow me, this is made the whole houses or the majority of the houses are traditionally and still today are made out of clay.
Right.
And because they don't have stones there, and in this clay they put these big woods, you can see them protruding here.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
And
that's familiar.
one time a year or after each heavy rain, all the people of the town get together and they climb up, the young men climb up on these woods all the way to the top. And from the bottom, they're being reached parts of clay. And with their bare hands, they smear the clay into the wall and thus repairing the outside of the walls.
So like every season it's a new layer.
Yes.
Uh, Painting over the
And
cracks, as they say, but
and
seriously.
and I've seen short movies about that, you know, how they do that. That's really looks like a lot of fun because they use this occasion as a big town's party. You know, they singing, they laughing, the kids are in the puddles, putting the clay into the pots, and they having a ball. You know how kids like to play with the mud and like that. You know, it's really great fun to just watch that. Well, now the scene changes. Oh, changes back.
Yes,
Too
yes.
bad.
Finally, we're getting round to what was it? Stag Hollow, basically. Oh, sorry, I showed you the. Yeah, I've done the picture bit already, haven't I? Oh, today's day. Right. Yeah. This is Stag Hollow, and it's quite long. Oh, I think I've got quite a few. Yeah, there's that one. Yeah, two films of this, both of which 10 minutes. This is 10 minutes or so. Um, Yeah, this is, I guess, a kind of Western town. I didn't really catch. It was actually very difficult here. I had to wait a long time to get it to res, and when I finally did, as you can see here, it was more or less okay. But then I came round to another bit, and everything was grey. Sort of. It's a bit of a contrast because your region, Timbuktu, was a dream to navigate. Yeah, this is I guess Stag Hollow is meant to be a small town community of sorts. I'll just flick back to the Safari blog and just check here. It's located in the Oklahoma Territory in the late 1850s, and it's a time where they were just getting trains and telegraphs to come through. Very there's some of these things I've seen before that I don't know what regions. This is Oklahoma, of course. Very what I consider to be very unique American architecture. Actually, these sort of houses with lots of ground level balconies, and it's not an architecture style I've seen otherwise in Europe, or it's it's like jazz. It sort of really comes from America, I think. Of course, I know that's all based on a shot I was looking at 2 minutes ago, but let's see what they're up to here. There's a bear roaming the streets further up, but kept trying to catch it, but I don't think it disappeared all of a sudden. I don't know whether they approved the bears coming into that proximity. Yeah, this kind of thing, the balcony, and there's a word for it. James would know it probably. That a port, like we call it a porch or something, but you have a word for it. The outside bit on the ground floor.
Yeah, it's porch to me. We have a porch called a hurricane porch, which kind of wraps around more than a typical porch, but that could be that style. I'm not sure.
And typical Wild West style barn shapes again. But the texture's sadly missing. Oh, and I love that animal up there. Look at this thing. He's having fun. Had to bang in on that, didn't I? I've never seen a cow perform like that. Also a cow. I missed it. Film works a bit jittery, really, because of the lag. Certainly getting a reasonable idea of it all there. I rather suspect that I described it as a small town a little bit earlier. It's not actually that big a bill, but I think there's an argument for saying she probably overpopulated it, with the buildings and stuff that takes a while to res. It was difficult because you add up all the stuff over that whole region, and it's pretty densely packed and stuff. It's I know from experience, it's not the easiest to navigate, especially when you've got more than one avatar doing it. So attempt a slightly longer type view. There is a great right. Well, yeah, I do get to it actually. So we'll have to buy with it 5 minutes or so. Outside the town, obviously the rich folk live on bigger houses up on the hill, and there's actually the best bits is a little the water thing here. I found it by accident, although on the tour she mentioned it later. There's a little gold mine. I think I'd take the camera in at some point. That's very. I noticed that is it 1825 or something series with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren is just started again apparently. For the wagons like that one we saw a minute ago. Very good show that is. Yeah, so it looks like a very clean sort of town, but I mean the railway here is obviously to move the stuff from the mine. And I thought I'd try taking a ride, but hard to manipulate your camera through a tunnel, really. I'll get there in the end. It's strange, you've got this very colourful flowers and the railway and everything else, and then in the background you've got these grey objects. They don't quite seem to gel. That's life. Very exotic trains in those days, a bit like the Orient Express. But I guess when you think of trains in early America, at this time of America, they were traveling very long distances. So I mean, it wasn't like from Edinburgh to London. They actually had to give their passengers a bit more comfort, long trips. I got confused now. I'm looking at the layouts. I can't remember where we were. A lot
I
of the
was
trees.
I was reading the blog post, and Lavia really described a lot of the history and a lot of the
Yeah,
research that went into the build, even down to the families that were part of the community. So they
yeah.
they dug quite deep into it.
Mm.
I should probably get her back on here. If you remember, when she was on the show, she did go in a bit into it. But they're like those slides I showed a bit too early. Actually, that was still very much a preview stage she
Yeah,
was talking about there.
yeah,
Yes, yes. I mean, well, actually, rather like Game of Thrones. I mean, you build the world as this is less fiction, of course, but and then you immerse yourself in it. Um, it's obviously a period of time, which the creator actually likes or is interested in and
yeah.
inhabiting. In the stables here. It's a shame about the buildings, missing textures and all that sort of stuff because it really it's a lot of work gone into it. It was probably an ideal place for maybe one or two avatars to go together and explore it. That would help on the now. This is the mine I found. It's something I saw this. Where's that going? And of course, it's just down into the gold mine there. But actually, it wasn't obvious when I actually panned the camera down. But when I come back up again, I realised that the cart carrying the gold and stuff is actually halfway up the ramp I came down. Or maybe it wasn't there when I came down, but I don't know. There we are. So I head back up, and you see the cart is already up. That's basically the horses taking the cart full of gold up there. And it eventually will find its way onto the railroad. And I guess there's some outlaws out there who hold up the trains and nick the gold, just to complete the story. The Wild West. So there we go. Yeah, so very nice. Just a shame that things slow to raise, textures missing, and everything else. But a lot of work gone into the build. Almost, um, the bits that we can see there are well worth it. Okay, so I have a final, slightly shorter clip here, dated a few minutes after that one. That's nice. Where are we? Yeah, you can tell that's the rich man's house, can't you? That's obviously the person who owns the mine, I should think. All right, and then a bit more look inside at all the luxury and stuff. And yeah, at the safari itself, we were sort of taken from one place to another, and the stuff in the blog that James mentioned, is where she was telling about all this while we were in these various rooms and things. I wouldn't like to have one of them needles in me, actually. They're semi-modern, I suppose.
It's just wonderful where she finds the objects to bring in. That's
Yeah, good hunting for,
right.
yeah. I didn't really look carefully whether they were mesh or anything, because obviously if a lot of people now import stuff from 3D warehouses and
Right,
things,
right.
convert them to OAR and then
Works
load
so
them up.
well.
Yeah. Yes, it is very good.
Did you open that door, or was that a ghost?
I opened the door, I think. My camera opened the door, to be precise.
All right.
It is possible to open doors while I'm filming. There's usually a giveaway hand or something, but
Mm-hmm.
cursor showing up. It's quite fun now, wandering around the corridor, open door, go through it, open next door, and follow with the camera. If it's lag free enough. So, about if you want to read more about all these visits, by the way, you want to go to Thursday's blog, which is hgsafari.blogspot.com. And Thursday is a recording of the transcript of conversation plus suitable pictures, for each safari stop. So usually on Thursday she posts, 2 posts for the 2 visits. And if you want to join the club and come visit, Safari meets on the HG Safari grid of its own. I forget the full address offhand.
I put it on the lower third, Mal.
Oh, you have? Yeah, I thought we had that on standby. Yeah, so every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific time, which is about 9 p.m. Central European time, 8 p.m. in the UK. Meet at the clubhouse, and you get the links and everything, and everybody teleports together to the first region, and then hopefully they've survived long enough to get to the second region too. Sometimes things go wrong, but that's the
Oh, you
fun.
made it into the gold mine.
Yeah, it's the fun of it. Yeah.
Though I must say that looks a very workers-friendly gold mine. I don't think that in reality there were
Right.
Yeah, no, there'd be much
so
more.
much place and so much, and the gold just laying around in little heaps.
Yes. Yeah, I can't actually remember seeing any real world renditions of gold mines. I mean, we all know what coal mines look like and things, but yeah, the idea that somebody's left a few piles of them around doesn't quite gel, does it? Okay, well, that's about it for our safari recap. So to finish the show, so to speak, I'm not sure whether this or where it is, except that the region seems to be called Shangdu. But this video came up in the week. I mean, it's actually possible. I better say this in advance. It's even possible this was Second Life, but I did get the impression it was open soon.
Oh,
Pretty. And story, of course. Or poem, more like it, really. Very haunting music, too, actually.
that's
Oh, nicely filmed too. You do get, it gives a credit to himself for filming, but not the location. There you go. Well, it's really quite a sort of a historical theme to all our stuff today. Timbuktu, the Old West, Game of Thrones, possibly. And now that. So last off, what would another week be without another film from Karima Hussain? Of course, our favorite.
In Arabic, we say maktub, which means it is written. I believe the fact that I began working with Natasha Rand was one of those written moments in my life. And that was maktub. We were about the same age in Second Life when we met in 2011, 4 years old. But Natasha had begun making machinima almost from the start. Her videos were quirky, some silly, some funny, and many were educational, but they were all well filmed and edited, her trademark. She loved sharing with others what she had learned, but her real passion was flight. Filming prop planes, jets, helicopters, anything that could fly, and she became very good at it. It's not easy to fly and film at the same time. Nat was one of the very best. Flight was her obsession, and she had an amazing collection of planes. Once, she confided in me, if we had never met, she probably would never film anything else. On her memorial, I made an NPC, Nat, pilot. At the end of the tour, Nat walks to her plane, takes off, does a flyby over the stands. It is her last flight, last goodbye, and she goes out with a bang, like she would have wanted. Oh, Nat loved to dance, loved photography, a perfectionist for herself and others, but had a great sense of humor too. Our collaboration lasted more than 10 years. She also worked with others like Joey Starchild and Ito Naminosaki, especially in the realm of sci-fi, and we were all part of her very illustrious inner circle. I've been thinking about her a lot lately, so much so that I spent 4 days on her memorial that I built with Dale Innes just to make this video and let her know she was on my mind. Nat would have found a million things wrong with this video, I'm sure, but I think she also would have been very pleased. I love Nat, not like a lover, but like a creative partner. It was the first time and probably the last relationship I will ever have of this kind. The last time we were together in Second Life was a few days before her surgery to get an artificial heart. We were all so positive she would buy herself at least 5 more years while waiting on the list for a transplant. I made a green screen behind us and we had our last hug. I put us in my garden. In real life, a thick carpet of pink water apple flowers covered everything. I sent it to her that night and said when she had her new heart, I would invite her to Costa Rica to sit at the same table. She said, Karima, I love this idea and I love this picture. Her surgery was scheduled for the following Tuesday, September 7th, but she passed away suddenly the Friday before, September 3rd, 2021. She almost made it. Almost. Fly high, Nat. The skies always called to you.
So Karima's actually done quite a few memorials to Natasha. They were very close indeed. But that actual memorial region can be found on the Kitely grid, where Karima's actually got quite a few areas, along with partner Dale Innes. So a lovely piece that actually. It's more serious than some of the ones we've been showing recently, of course. So I think we're getting to the point. Yep, that is still happening. The Pangea Carnival. Let's see, 27th of February is still to come. 3rd of March, 4th of March. So just showing that again. And of course, a reminder that the Hypergrid International Expo that we were mentioning, including in one of the trips there, April the 4th to the 6th of this year. Yes, this year. In fact, it's very, very close now. All hands on deck, so to speak, or panning stations. I'm not sure which, actually. Right, I think that's it for our features this week. So, let's see. Yeah, Stag Hollow, by the way, that was Lavia Levine, and it was designed for role-playing the frontier days of the American West. I didn't actually read that out at the time. So I haven't heard our dog, or wolf, they're both the same thing, really, aren't they? Has been a bit frisky all through the show, actually. So he hasn't actually barked for us yet, that we've heard anyway, but I've got a feeling he's going to be demanding his dinner quite soon. And regular viewers will know that when that dog barks, we have to curtail the show pretty darn quick. Because who knows what will happen if we don't go and feed him.
Yeah, well, our cue for that, of course, is a wolf. We may have to find something for a dog, but if you want the sound, I can play the sound.
Yeah, I mean, a dog is he looks a bit like a wolf. All dogs are right. It's true. That is more of a wolf. Yeah, we'll have to change it to. I've actually got a bark sound that's built into him, but it's been muted.
Sounds like my dog when the doorbell is ringing.
Ooh, ooh. Yeah, it's. I mean, people forget that all dogs are wolves. I mean, they're just domesticated wolves, and I mean, admittedly, you see things like Dachshunds and poodles and think, where the hell is the wolf in that? You know, got to admit. But once upon a time, before we started breeding them and making them into stupid shapes, they were all wolves. They were just the kind of wolves that thought, well, I'm going to be better off hanging around with humans. They'll probably feed me and I won't have to do it for myself. Same with domestic cats, you know. Well, they still like to go out and hunt just for the fun of it, but they're quite happy that humans feed them. And they don't have to do any work for it. Normally, it's set to purr at you and let you stroke them. It's a dog's life. It's a cat's life too. anyway, guys. Any? I don't know if there's anything I've missed, but anything else from you? I told you at the beginning of the show that we're in a new studio here. It looks pretty much like the old one, but it's sparked up quite a lot and will continue to be so. Yeah, I think James said he was going to roam his camera around to look at some horses.
I thought I was not going to do that, but I can do that.
No, yeah, well, if it's free-form roaming, it's up to you. Before we go, and
horses, Elk, dogs, a gorilla, and a kangaroo.
Yeah, the gorilla's fun because from a distance it looks like a humanoid on its feet. Yes, this is true. And this chap in the audience, he said his name was Paul McCartney actually, but he's returned here, but he's brought a piano with him. And Tosha actually found Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics, dancing beside Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And so I had to look around and think, hang on, I think I saw Howard the Duck around here somewhere too. Howard the Duck, of course, being a famous Marvel character. Now, I'm not going to do a Spider-Man on you, but Howard the Duck dancing with Stan Lee, I think that is cool, especially as Paul is playing. So we had great fun finding suitable characters for the audience here, amongst other things. So no doubt we'll get to the rest of this region is chaos at the moment. Things dumped here, there, and everywhere, and getting ready. We need to res them to make sure they get into the local inventory kind of thing, and then take them up and organize them properly. So. But basically we've got the studio, but we've got a whole sim to play with too. And this is all really thanks to Tosha too, because we're on CraftGrid, the CEO, the boss guy at CraftGrid here, who's helped us with HIE over the years so much, is Liku. And so Liku asked him, we have a tiny little parcel for Inworld Review, and we've got a whole bloody sim we don't know what to do with at the moment. So thanks to you, Tosha, and of course, if he's listening, thanks to you, Liku, as well.
Thanks to Liku, because I did nothing but ask Liku, and he said yes immediately. And half an hour later, the region was up,
Yeah, that was so fast. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
For the moment, we're happy here, and hopefully we will be happy here for a considerable time yet.
And I put the web address for Craft World up on the lower third. So.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, our region is actually called Inworld Review. So it's actually very easy to find. You go to craftworld.org, port number, and then Inworld Review. I'm not quite sure where we set the landing permission at the moment. It may well be on the roof. We found ourselves on the roof a couple of times, but eventually there'll be a proper landing position, and probably a few things like art exhibits and things and related stuff to this show that we can show as well. And we're in safe hands with Tosha. She creates so much stuff. It's wonderful. Right. Okay. So any more thoughts, James?
Nope. I'm glad to be here. I think we've got most everything in place. So the show must go on.
The show must go on. Indeed it is. And it's going on quite well. I do apologize, by the way, that we haven't had actually many guests of late. I mean, doing catch-ups actually can take us, you saw today, it was a whole show to actually do following catch-ups of all the regions and then a couple of extras to show. I did point out the blog at the beginning of the show that tells you what's going on with OS Grid and how to, if you have an account there, what to do about saving an AIR or AOR, and so you'll be able to restore some of your stuff when it comes back online. It goes offline mid-March, and by the beginning of April, which it at the same time as Hypergrid Expo there, it should be back online. The only thing is you won't have any inventory anymore. Well, you'll have one, but it'll be empty, like a suitcase. You'll have to start from scratch. But most people, in my experience, do have avatars on multiple grids. Whether you like Thursday, who has about
And Mel, before we log off, I'll just mention that YouTube user YTFP Chris has been watching, and he's been commenting now and then. Tosha, he said he liked the purple shirt, so that was good. And just shout out to Chris. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, good to see we do get some live viewers occasionally, so thank you. Yes, of course, you can watch this show and all our other shows on YouTube and replay going back. I don't know how many years have we got now. It's an awful lot of them anyway.
A lot, yeah. I'd put up the URL, but if they're seeing the show, they've got the URL.
Yes, so that figures. Yes, that figures indeed. Yeah. Yeah, so it's slightly different being here, and sort of a bit of a last minute rush today because suddenly we thought, oh, we didn't do that, and there wasn't much we hadn't done, but there was a few little things, and
there always are.
Yeah. But we have a nice little surprise little gadget I'll show you before we go out. If we ever want to use it, we actually have a way of using a photo booth type technology to actually instantly change our set, and I will show you what I mean. It's like the curtain coming up at the theatre. Look at that! Isn't that cool? When I get it right,
there it is.
Ooh,
yeah. And what do I do here? Oh yes, I have to put the edit window away. So we can have a pathway to the sea. You get a straight look in. I don't know what James is doing on camera, but if you zoom into the couch, as it were, one part of the image is gain distance, and the other part of the image blends into the floor, kind of thing. So it's a rather nifty operation. Forest light. This is a very nice one, I think, if we have a purpose for it. And I've got about a dozen here. Mountain Dew. There we are. That's a nice one. Park bench. Don't know that really fits, but it's in the library anyway. We actually got our city on the park bench.
We're floating in the air.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be keeping that one in there. I can't think of a reason for it anyway. Desert rocks and water. That's moody, if nothing else. Actually, it blends quite well with the color, the grey of our city and the colourful objects on it. And what else have we got? Desert road. We should have put this up for Timbuktu, shouldn't we? We shall drive. You kind of want to film it. Drive down the road. It looks like a driving location. At disco stage. Yeah. So if we have a party, we just load it like that, I suppose, and get dancing. And what else have we got? Can't go through everything. Snowy landscape. And what is it? All the snow black. Okay, and then a cavey sort of movement. That's the mode default I've been having on. But anyway, it just gives you a sort of teaser.
YouTube user Chris says, "Oh, fancy."
Oh, fancy. Yes. Right. Well, fancy there, mate. Yeah. Yes, it's something like that. So there we go. And then
if you can choose, Mel, I would like a picture from the inside of the mouth of a whale.
Oh.
Okay.
Jonah and the whale, eh? You got plans?
Or a whale or a shark with all the big teeth. That'd be funny.
Yeah, actually, that should be great. If the photos that are around, they tend to be taken underwater. So, in fact, you have to have the actual real background image in the top third, and then the two lower thirds are actually where it turns into the ground.
I trust in you. You'll make it.
Yeah. Well, this is the great thing about moving somewhere new and having space to spare. We just sort of, it's years since I started resin things and playing with terrain, which I'm really ruin everything and get me on editing terrain. But it's sort of, it's a bit fun. Like I haven't done it for a long while, and brings back a few memories.
Well, I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but I think our poor wolf is going to die of hunger if we keep on talking.
Uh,
Indeed. He moved his way, and we carried on talking. Indeed. Okay. So, any final thoughts from either of you, Tosha?
Nothing.
James?
Thank you.
nope, not for me.
Okay, nor from me, because I'm rabbiting on, aren't I? We are happy to be here in our new studio that looks like the old studio, but better. Right. So, my thanks, of course, to my co-host Tosha Tyran. Thank you, Tosha.
Well, you're very welcome.
And thanks to my right-hand man, so to speak, James Atlloud. Thank you, James.
Sure thing, Mel. Thank you for bringing us together.
And thank you to myself. And I will wish you, well, why not? I will wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And for now, here's a wrap.